Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another episode of Overbooked here on the channel. This is the series where I'm reviewing every single book on my shelves because we must journey into the underworld to find my opinions on things. Today we're going to be talking about volumes 1 and 2 of Olympus. I bought both of these books myself. We have volume 1 and volume 2. These are the Olympus editions. Nobody's paying me to talk about books and all opinions are my own. I'm going to keep this relatively spoiler-free. It's Greek mythology. It's been around for a while. I'm probably not going to spoil that much for you. If you do want to go into these knowing absolutely nothing, pause the video. Go read them. Come back when you've read them, we'll chat about it then. And lastly, I will link probably the story graph for the books below. I don't know if anyone will have put up the content warnings for that. However, if you do want to, I think both of the books contain content warnings at the start. They do, so you can check those out. The webtoon comic also includes content warnings on most of the individual comics that have that issue. These are graphic novels. They are adaptations of a webtoon comic that is currently still being released, written by Rachel. I don't know if it's Rachel Smith or Rachel Smythe. I haven't looked it up yet. I've been saying Smythe, but I realised I have no grounding basis for why I think that. It's just that there's a Y in her name. So anyway, Rachel is a New Zealand-based artist and has been releasing Olympus on Webtoon for absolutely free since 2018. The books originally started coming out in 2021, and I believe we are up to volume 3. I haven't bought that yet because Olympus are making you buy 3 and 4 at the same time, and I'm having matching editions because sometimes I want that. They're not paying me or anything, not sponsored by Olympus at all, but I wish. I mean, wouldn't that be something? They're pinned as romances online. I would say that's true. It's a romance graphic novel story. It's also got a fair amount of other stuff going on, but at its core, a romantic story. It is a retelling of the abduction of Persephone Hades. It's also got a lot of other Greek mythology thrown in there as well, and it's set in kind of a modern world on Olympus, but anytime they flip back to the mortal world, it's very much ancient Greek times. It's an interesting mix of things going on. I personally am very here for the romance in this story. I think that with any romance, if you're not on board for the pairing, you're not going to enjoy it. So I'll say that from the off. If you are here for a Hades Persephone story, this will hopefully work for you. I know Hades and Persephone, there's such a huge mix of things out, especially at the moment. It feels like we're in a real people are loving gods of death at the moment. That's just how it is. I really like this story. I really like this pairing. I'll come on to some of the reasons you might not later. For me personally, I think this is a really great romance. It's got a lot of slow burn to it, particularly early on, but it's definitely, especially where we're up to online, it's getting to some really juicy stuff. So that's really good fun for me. And I think the kind of sub stories that go on that kind of feature in a few moments at a time, you just get a little sort of side arc of another character, has some really interesting pairings in it as well. There's a lot of really interesting non-romantic pairings in the story, so a lot of platonic relationships being explored, a lot of sibling relationships being explored, parent-child relationships being examined. It's a pantheon. There's a lot of messy stuff around it, and we're going to look into why all of these people need therapy. I feel like you can't talk about a graphic novel without talking about the art. I really love the art style of this series. I actually really appreciated reading these again, having read the webtoon for a while. The way that they've managed to change the layout for the novels, which are kind of almost square, from a very phone-based webtoon. It works very well. So if you were concerned about the adaptation from there to there, I think the art style holds up. It's really beautiful. They've redrawn a lot of panels for these books, and you get a little bit of extra content as well at the end. I'd love to learn more about that process. I'm sure I could find out about taking things from phone format to book format. It would be very interesting. To my delight, I also found that these are really great stories to reread. I think that's something I'm always on the fence about buying graphic novels, because they don't take me very long to read and then they just sort of sit on my shelves for a while. With these, I found particularly because the online comic is so far ahead, I definitely got to see some of the kind of foreshadowing of the plot and absorb some characters a little bit more and see a little bit more insight into their lives. So if you're looking for a graphic novel series that you can potentially reread quite often and enjoy again and again, I would say this is one of them. Obviously, if you are wanting to pick these up, but maybe you're not keen on buying graphic novels, you just don't know if you want to buy them or not, you can read it all for free online. So if you were wanting to try this out and see what you felt about it and then maybe buy them, this would be great for you. I definitely feel like they kind of released the books for fans of the series in order to own them, rather than necessarily being this would absolutely be a graphic novel that everyone should read. I've bought them as a fan of the series already. So yes, you can read beyond where the books have got to and also read everything else for free, but the same can be said of stuff like Heartstopper, so I suppose it depends how you want to consume the content. I will say, I very much enjoy this series. I am very well aware that not everyone does. I'm sure there are some of you watching this video who do not like this webtoon. It's not necessarily a Marmite-y kind of series. I think because it gets a lot of hype, because a lot of people talk about it, I think it's the #1 webtoon. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that. I think that just naturally kind of breeds some antagonism towards things in the internet spaces. Not saying that criticism of it is invalid, just trying to see it for what it is in the context of this wider internet world in which we live. So you might not like this. That's basically the gist of that very long sentence. I also know some people really don't like the age gap in this series. I can definitely see that, especially at the beginning. They are gods, not mortals, and I think there's an interesting discussion to be had around that. I don't necessarily disagree with people who say the age gap is too big and it's weird, and I can kind of see how the author was trying to write around that a bit more, especially in the later stuff. So I do think there's some interesting things to be discussed around that, perhaps. But I can see why some people go, that's not for me, don't like an age gap, goodbye. For me personally, I kind of navigated around it in my mind by going, these are immortal beings, not humans, and also having consumed an awful lot of Greek mythology and Greek history and ancient history generally, I think the brain's slightly wired to just kind of write over that in this particular context. Not in everything, not in the real world. I want to exclaim that from the rooftops. In terms of my other graphic novel reading, just to let you know where I'm at in the context and maybe give you something else you might want to read, I've read very few graphic novels. I definitely need to hit up some of your recommendation lists. I know people have left them. I know there are videos of them. I will eventually become a graphic novel reader. It's just not been a huge priority at the moment. I love Nimona. It's one of my favourite graphic novels of all time. It's so good. And I did enjoy Wires and Nerve by Marissa Mayer, but I think those are the only graphic novels I've read in a very long time, so please give me more recommendations. And obviously the other thing you can compare this to is one of many, many Hades and Persephone books that have come out in the last few years. There are so many. I'm not going to list them here because I've not read any of them, because most of them are not my kind of thing. So should you read this? Should you read Lore Olympus either online or buy the books physically or whatever else you may find as a way of absorbing the content? I personally really like them. I think you're probably going to know if you like them or not based on a couple of chapters, so maybe go online, give it a little check out, and then decide from there. Personally, I'm very excited to own and read books 3 and 4. That's one of my book purchases for the year. In theory, I probably should have waited to make this video until then, but the Overbooked schedule dictates when things happen. Have you read any of Lore Olympus or any other great graphic novels that you want to tell me about? I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have chill chats about books. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams, and more. If you'd like to join their number and check all of that out, that's in the description below as well. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. It's gonna be some bloopers now. These are both... Is that too shiny? Can I adjust you so you're less shiny? There we go.